Welcome to Uriah Heep, the Magician's Podcast. I'll be covering every studio song the band has recorded and every bonus track that I can find. Each week we'll go over a new song from the beginning to where they are currently, and as they keep adding albums, I'll keep adding shows. Let the deep dive party begin.
In the magic garden, some were singing, some were dancing.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Uriah Heep, the Magician's Podcast. I am your host, and we are covering the song, The Easy Road. This is originally from the album Wonderworld, and that was their 7th album release. That was the 5th song on the album that I covered, going back to March of 2021. So a couple years ago already. Geez, this time thing is really freaking me out how fast it goes by. Anyway, great song. So we're going to get into it and see what the current lineup of this time of the band did with the song. And again, we're talking about Bernie Shaw on vocals, Mick Box on guitar, Phil Lanzon on keyboards, Lee Kerslake on drums, and Trevor Boulder on bass. And let's take a listen to it's a real short song. It's under 3 minutes. Here it is, The Easy Road. Well, certainly a beautiful opening. I mean, love the piano and the cello. These definitely do not sound like samples to me. Samples at the time, they were pretty good. I think you could pull this off now. I'm not sure you could really pull this off with that kind of smoothness and expression back then without hours and hours and hours of work that probably would not have been worth the time. So I'm wondering if this is a real cellist, but I have found no credits for any musicians or anyone other than the band on the album. So I'm kind of torn. I mean, maybe there was something that could play samples at this time better than I remember. I suppose that's possible. But if that's the case, then it would have been double tracked because Phil's playing piano as well, unless somebody else in the band actually plays cello. That's very possible. I'm not aware of it, but there's plenty I don't know. And I'm perfectly willing to admit that. So either way, let's judge it as what we're hearing, the product, the sound, which is absolutely beautiful. I love the expression on the cello. I think the piano is being played with just the right amount of touch. What I mean by that is if you hit the keys too hard, they have that heavier attack that sounds more menacing. If you hit them too gently, then sometimes that feeling doesn't come through or you really don't hear it. I think it's being played very beautifully. And then, of course, those chimes that we hear from ear to ear were a really nice touch too. So interesting version so far. Obviously, Bernie's going to be singing here really quick. So let's see what that sounds like.
If you're looking for a place you can fly together and you're really afraid of what you're leaving behind, take the easiest road, but take care, my brother, for you'll never find peace in a troubled mind. Far better to love each other than to worry so deeply about the place you're in.
Well, obviously Bernie's singing very beautifully. I would have expected nothing less, especially after we heard how he sang Rain and Come Back to Me. Certainly wouldn't have expected anything different for this song. Very expressive. I love the range he's singing in. You can experiment and really lose the song with the wrong octave. And I think he's got it right here. I'm not sure where that percussion is coming from. It's very muffled. It's very faint. It could just be Lee hitting on a drum with his hand pressed down on the head so that it's muted and not really getting a tone coming through. If it's like a bass drum or a tom, it doesn't sound like he's hitting the kick pedal. It could be a cajon too, which is basically like a wooden box that you sit on, and you can bang it, and your weight, of course, will deaden it a little bit. I don't know. I'm not sure what it is, but it's very faint that I'm picking it up in the background. Still loving the expressions of the strings. It just really adds so much to a song like this.
And far better
Okay, I'm going to go with it. That's a real player, and it sounds like that could be in the cello range. It could be, but I thought I heard some notes that were a little higher. Maybe viola, possibly violin. Those ranges cross over. Those instruments have a specific note range. They don't play every note on the spectrum. They don't cover every note on a piano. Each one has its section. Violin is the highest. Viola is in the middle, and then cello, of course, handles the low end. The cello probably has the widest range of notes that it can play. It has a very long fretboard. Viola covers the middle section, overlapping into the cello and into violin, and then, of course, violin takes the middle high all the way up to the highest note that it can play. Still not as high as a piano, though, believe it or not. Yeah, very interesting. I love the sound of it, though. It's a great performance. Really feels like a person playing that. And like I said, it's very possible that somebody in the band is capable of playing these instruments. I don't have any documentation to show me who did what other than just, the standard 5 members and their typical instruments. So it's very interesting. I don't know how they're recording this with the intention of it being a live song, because I can't imagine they would be bringing on a player for, 1 or 2 songs. If they were let's say that they were doing Salisbury with the orchestra, then it would be understandable if you had people filling in with other songs. Hey, you're here, instead of waiting for this one song, how about you play on this, or maybe do a line or two on this, something like that. You're already paying for the guy to be there. That I could see. So I don't know what the intent was. All I can do is say what I'm listening to is absolutely beautiful, and I'm completely sold on this already.
As the sky in winter, and 2 hearts always were better than one. Love has the wings of a tireless angel. She'll stay beside you till the day is done.
And now we have a flute in the mix. Didn't see that coming. Didn't see any of this coming when I started this song. Yeah, it works though. I mean, it definitely works. It has a really good feel to it. It has kind of an old school feel, like when bands used to do this in the late 60s, early 70s. Actually, all through the 60s, a lot of pop had, different orchestral instruments in it. So this has a really good feel to it. And, Heep is no stranger to orchestral instruments, although it's not been too common that they've used them. I really like this, though. I think it feels very well. I like the way that Lee's hitting the snare very softly. Drums, again, can be a thing that just throw off the balance of a song. And him playing so gently just fits in seamlessly. It's like when the drums came in, they were present, they made an impact, but they didn't take away from anything. They didn't distract you. They were just suddenly there. And it's because of that gentle way that he's hitting the snare that makes that happen. If he's hitting it too hard or just, hitting the rim with the head of the snare at the same time, it's just going to hit too hard. It's going to crack a little bit more, where this is very, very gentle, almost like 60s drumming. And I think it just works beautifully for the song. Okay, so now that the drums have stepped up another notch, now you can hear the difference of what I'm talking about, because now that snare is much more defined, whereas it blended in with a hi-hat a little bit before. Now it's really just cutting through, and this is a getting to be a much bigger song. And it's amazing because, we've listened to this for 2 minutes and 5 seconds, and look at how it's grown so much in that time. It's a great build. It's really gone quickly as we've added the instruments, really changes the perception of how long the song is, especially when you think about the journey from beginning to where we're at now. It seems like that should have spanned a much longer part of time. But how about Bernie? He is just singing his heart out on this one. Absolutely fantastic. Phil's doing a great job with the piano. The backing vocals are really good. Again, I'm hearing a female voice in my left ear. And I apologize to the band if it's you guys, but I really am hearing a female voice in the production. But again, I have no credits for this that I can find. The download did not come with a digital booklet or anything. And, any of the credits I found online, whether it be the Uriah Heep website, Wikipedia, anything, I've not found any credits for anyone else. So I'm kind of in a quandary on this one. I really don't know what to think. All I can say is that I think the sound works. I think it feels very late 60s, early 70s, which I like. Kind of unexpected for this album because it's not where we've been on this album at any point. But it works for me for sure.
Far better to kiss her softly than looking back on a love you'll never have again. Never have again. No, 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 never again. You'll never have again.
You know what this feels like? It feels like the ending song to a musical or a rock opera or something like that, where everything's kind of summed up and it's the final, everybody's on stage, arm in arm, and it's ready to send the crowd home. It just feels like it's wrapping everything up quite nicely. It wouldn't be a song I would expect for a rock band to play at the end of a concert, because this seems more thematic to me. And a little more, I hate to use the word show tune, but, a little more in that genre than I would expect at a Uriah Heep show. Either way, as it stands, it's a beautiful piece of work. I'm glad that they recorded it. I'm glad they did it the way they did. It's really touches my heart, and I love that. I'm just taken aback because it's so unexpected. When I saw that the song was only 2:40, I thought, wow, this is going to be interesting to see what they've done with that short of time frame. But obviously they cram-packed it without it feeling, oversaturated. So it was a very good balance, I would say. Whoever did the orchestrations, well done. And to the performers, well done. I'm kind of speechless. So with that, I think I'll just end the show. Tomorrow is Wednesday, so I'll be back on the Haskincast podcast and then back Thursday and Friday for 2 more episodes of this show. Stay tuned. Have a great day, guys. Cheers. Thank you for joining me on this episode of Uriah Heep, the Magician's Podcast. If you have enjoyed this show, please consider going over to Apple Podcasts or your favorite podcast outlet, leaving a rating or a review. Be sure to subscribe to make sure that you are notified when new episodes are available. Please be sure to share this podcast with your fellow Uriah Heep enthusiasts and anyone who you think would like Uriah Heep, which should be everyone. And if you are so inclined, please feel free to contribute to the Patreon account. And if you are not a Patreon subscriber, you can also pay through the PayPal link on the website listed in the show links below. I would also like to thank Uriah Heep for their very generous support of the show, and thank you guys for listening. We'll see you in the next episode. Happy days!